Hi friends. Hope y'all are doing well. I'm doing great. Like, life is pretty good right now. I hope it is for you too. Um, Today we are going to be talking about something. It's mainly for trans people, but I feel like everybody. Oh God. I feel like everybody could benefit from what I have to say here. So today is going to be about reconciling with your past self, and by past self I mean like your child self, or like the you who you like, the version of you before the version that you actually like really like. Um, I feel like everyone could benefit from reconciling with that person, and like it's more so a thing for trans people because we have that like inherent feeling of like, well, shit, I wasn't who I was supposed to be, so why would I want to acknowledge that part of myself, and why would I want to even think about the fact that I was once someone who I just wasn't comfortable with and like wasn't even the right gender. Um, Specifically with trans people, it is kind of taboo in the community to like even talk about the fact that you were once a gender that you like didn't want to be. Like it's taboo to talk about your past self, and even like acknowledge that there was a past self that wasn't this version of you. um and I totally get it. Like I still have my moments of being uncomfortable with it, and like there's a lot that I'm still working through as well. And it's taken me a lot of years to even like be okay with acknowledging that part of myself, because I mean there is some like, it's, for me personally, there have been like feelings of shame, like, well, I wasn't even like raised as a man, so like why, like I'm ashamed that I wasn't even myself, and like wasn't even the right person back then. And I'm ashamed that that was even a part of me, and ashamed that like I even have to acknowledge that. But it's like it's taken me many years to even acknowledge the fact that like, yes, I once was, this person. I still struggle a lot. Like I don't really like hearing my birth name, and I can't say it. Like even when referring to other people, I cannot say like the full thing. Um, while I am still uncomfortable with it, I really am like making steps to actually like kind of, for lack of a like better phrase, kind of be friends with that part of myself, because it's like I don't want to have that like discomfort in myself, because that's not hurting anyone else but me. And I don't want to be uncomfortable with the fact that there is a part of me who was different than who I am now. Like there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that. And like that's kind of the point of being trans, Like we were once the gender, whether it was assigned at birth or like a gender that we took on, like and like identified as, we were once a gender that we are currently not now, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing abnormal about that. It's just it's hard to acknowledge that you were once someone who you didn't want to be, and that goes for everyone. Like not even just with trans people. I know it's hard for everyone else to like acknowledge who they used to be, because you probably did some stuff you don't agree with, like you wouldn't agree with today, and you probably acted in ways that you wouldn't agree with today, and you probably saw the world in a way you don't agree with today. And like I feel like it's really important to acknowledge that person, because they got you where you are today. Like, and this is especially, like, I'm going heavy on this for trans people, but like that person is what carried you to who you are today. And like I personally, I really appreciate who I was before for that fact, because they went through some hard shit. Like they went through, coming out, and the first parts of my transition, and they've gone through like the stuff with my parents that I've like briefly talked about, and they've gone through like coming out multiple times, and they've come through like the self-discovery, and they'd gone through like the the trauma of like transphobia in general. Like I've experienced it, but it was mainly when I was younger and in high school. So like that person is really strong for getting through all that stuff, and like they are the reason why I get to exist today, and why I'm here as a man living my true self, like they are the reason why I am here today. So even though it is uncomfortable for me to talk about it, and it is like a hard thing for me to even bring up and like, think about, I can't ignore the fact that, they carried me to where I am today, and they were the ones that powered through everything, and they were the ones that just like took the brunt of all that stuff. Like, of course I've dealt with stuff as an adult and like as a like outwardly as a man, but like they're the ones who got me here. Like I can't argue with that. But they did really like, they also did really important things for me, because like without that past version of myself, like I wouldn't have had my personality, like I wouldn't have like my interests, I wouldn't have just like, generally everything about me. They're the ones that formed all that. Like this version of me didn't do all that. And of course, this version of me was always them too, because, same person. And like this version of me was always the one that was supposed to like come out and be seen by the world and, be seen by myself. But like that version of myself, they formed my personality, they formed everything about me. And like that's pretty cool, because like, I don't know, I like my personality. I think I'm pretty cool. So it's cool to be able to like acknowledge that part of myself and be like, hey, you did good. Good job. I realized a big realization for me in terms of like actually reconciling with myself was the fact that I don't that version of myself doesn't deserve to be ignored or mistreated or have any negative feelings towards them, because like it's not their fault. Like they didn't choose to be trans, they didn't choose to be born as their wrong gender, they didn't choose to be born like, quote, in the wrong body, as some people like to say, but that's not their fault. They didn't do that. Like, and it's so, I get why it's so easy to feel like malice towards who you were before. I totally get it, because I've felt a fair share of it. But it's also like, for me personally, I needed to realize that they didn't do anything. That was not their fault. They didn't choose to be born this way. They didn't choose to, have this be who we were. They just so happened to like be there and be this way. And I don't want to mistreat that part of myself, because that part of myself is just a kid. Like I don't want to have hateful feelings towards my child self, because they don't deserve that. And I really just want to like make friends with that part of myself, because I want it to be so that like my past self and my present self are molded as one, because I want to take things from my past self in terms of like my personality and my interests and all that stuff, and mold it with and fuse it with who I am today, because like I want those parts of my past self. I want the parts of my personality and my interests and like all the weird quirks about myself. Like I want all of that stuff, but I want it in the version of myself that I am today. And to do that, I feel like I really have to reconcile with them and just like be okay with the fact that there are versions of me that I don't like, and that's okay. That's for everyone. That's not even just exclusive to trans people. That's for everybody. Like we all have versions of ourselves that we don't like and that we don't want to talk about and that we don't want to acknowledge. But those parts of ourselves were stepping stones to who we are today. Like they propelled us to be who we are today. And one day this version of yourself right now will most likely be a stepping stone to who you are in the future, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like we all are growing and changing and evolving all the time, and we all have past versions of ourselves. And I think it's really important to acknowledge all of them and try and be friends with all of them, because I feel like it's so important to take the good things that you got from one version of yourself and mold it into the version of yourself you want to be, or the one that you want to see in the next couple years. And I feel like that's just really important for everyone, but specifically for trans people, because of how much more how much easier it is for us to not like that part of ourselves and to neglect that part of ourselves. Cut this out. And to speak more about like past, like your past self and everything like that, like they are probably just as confused and like uh, as hurt as we were when we were in that position. And like, of course, it's not like two separate people, but when you think about it, it's kind of like that person is still you, and they're still inside of you, and they are still probably feeling the hurt and the confusion that we were when we went through that, because they're still being treated as like less than and like trash pretty much. And that's not to say everybody treats their like past versions of themselves like trash and like does that, but personally for me, I have not been nice to my past self and have thought some very negative things about my past self. But like I said, they don't deserve that. They were a child. They didn't, purposefully do any of the things that we went through. And like they were strong enough to get through all that stuff, and they were strong enough to push through all of that. And like I want to just fuse all of that together and like not even refer to it as a past part of myself, just refer to it as myself. That was me. I did all that. Like a younger version of me did that. A past version of me did that. But like I said, this is like a very important topic, specifically for the trans community, but I feel like everyone would do well with really thinking about and reconciling with and acknowledging past versions of themselves they may not like. And it's so important to just be kind to them. And you don't have to sing their praises all the time or anything, but even something just so much as like acknowledging that part of yourself would do so much for them. And would just I feel like would be a world of difference for who you are now as well, because you'd have that opportunity to sort of let go of those feelings that you've had towards your own self, and I feel like everybody would just be a lot more content with themselves if they had that opportunity to acknowledge who they were and be like, yeah, my past self did some bad stuff, or I didn't like this version of myself, but you know what? They got me here. They were the stepping stone for who I am today, and will continue to be a part of the journey for who I truly meant to be. So yeah, this is going to be a short video. This is a short video. But I just wanted to talk about that for a second, because I've been thinking a lot about my past self and kind of reconciling with my child self and working on being more comfortable with the fact that, I was someone who I didn't want to be. But, it's all a learning process. It's all a journey. And, I can just be thankful for who I am today. And, like, I really am thankful for it. And, of course, there are moments of being, like, very upset about the fact that I wasn't raised as a boy, and that just that my childhood didn't go the way I really wanted it to. But there's nothing wrong with that. I'm living the life that I want to now, and I'm happy with myself, and I'm confident with how I look, and confident with myself and my gender identity and my gender expression. So, I mean, I'm just so grateful, and I'm grateful that I even have the opportunity to transition. Like, that's a big deal in America, but, especially around the world. Like, it's a big deal to be able to do that, and I'm very thankful that I have access to that, to the healthcare that I need to do that. But yeah, I can just, be thankful for my past self, and it's an ever-changing journey, because, like I said, I still have lots of moments of not being comfortable with that part of myself and not being okay with it, but I'm learning, I'm growing, and one day, 22-year-old me will be a stepping stone for a better version of myself in the future. So, that's all I had to say. If you watched this entire video, thank you, I really appreciate it. And, maybe just take some time to reconcile with your past self. You never know what could happen, right? So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you would like to see me do a bunch of nerdy stuff, I will link my second channel down below. I also stream on Twitch, and I have like Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. It'll be down below. But yeah, thank you guys again for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.